What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Patrick, aka Addicted to Combat, back for another week of Best Bets and Props, where I go over all of my betting action for this weekend's UFC card, which is UFC Vegas 66. Sean Strickland taking on Jared Cannonier in a potential 5-round middleweight main event. The co-main event, super high-level lightweight fight as well, with Arman Tsarukyan and Damir Ismagulov. And we've got 14 fights on this big Saturday card, closing out the year strong. And I know we're going to probably lose at least one or two of these after the weigh-ins, but still, I've got 7 moneyline bets on this card and 1 prop. So out of 14 fights, I've got action on 8 of them. So I'm excited for this card, make some more money, continue the success of last week at UFC 282. I went up 7.12 units that night. Very simple approach. Most of my action was on 6 money lines. Very simple approach. 5 of those were winners. 1 was the draw in the main event, so it was a refund. And yeah, I had to get myself in the parlay rehab, but I will point out my most confident picks on this card that I think are parlayable. Some, key props that I think could be played as well. And as usual, I'll be a little bit brief on this video, try to keep it a little bit shorter. So refer to my full card breakdown that I did on Monday night. And if you want any, finite details there, how I see these exactly playing out. And last night with Manpreet MMA Lock of the Night, we had an awesome live stream. Almost 60 of you guys in the live chat rocking with us for an awesome stream. Super informative. Manpreet's been professional in this arena of MMA for a long time. The insight he gave us, we were both giving out, our favorite prop bets and things like that. A hell of a time with that guy, so I can't wait to work with him again. Watch that live stream for also more details on this card. As usual, you guys, I am a betting partner of BetUS Sportsbook, and you can use that promo code AddictedToCombat125 as a new customer to get 125% sportsbook bonus on your first deposit between $100 and $2,500 as a new customer. So besides liking, subscribing the video, using that promo code if you choose to use BetUS, an easy way to support the channel. And speaking of BetUS Sportsbook, I will be pointing out some spots on that sportsbook where I saw that they did not update their lines along with other popular sportsbooks on the market for this weekend's UFC card. So I'll point those spots out as we move through the bets. Okay, my first bet of the night, first money line, is the first fight of the night. I've got Sergey Morozov at minus 225, 2.5 units wagered on his money line to defeat Julian Newsome at bantamweight. I like Morozov pretty much everywhere in this fight. Much stronger athlete here, much better smothering wrestler, and we have a lot of power potential for Morozov on the feet, as we saw cracking, Julian Paiva, outlanding him, out-wrestling him to a decision in his last bout. Also cracking the skull of Douglas Silva de Andrade on the feet, almost finishing him in round 1 before he emptied his gas tank and ended up getting finished himself. But I don't think that's going to be an issue against Julian Newsome here. I believe that once the pressure's applied for Morozov on Newsome, Newsome's going to fold. And I do like violence in this spot as well. The under 2.5 is plus money. Like I said, I got minus 225 earlier in the week on Morozov. The money line has since skyrocketed to like minus 275 or so. So if you're more comfortable playing the unders in this spot to cover both sides, not bad to get plus money in that one. This is a violent spot potentially. I do like Morozov for parlays, though. He is one of my more confident fighters on this card. And moving along to the next bet I have on the prelims, Rafa Garcia at lightweight to defeat Hayaser Mahashate. This is a spot where we've got a guy who's pretty solidified in Rafa Garcia, proven wrestling, proven cardio, averaging a couple of takedowns per 15 minutes, and having good success with that so far against a high level of competition, at least being competitive, a good submission potential as well. Hayaser Mahashate is a guy who was a big underdog on the Contender Series, managed to pull off the upset, and then parlay that success with a successful debut in June against Steve Garcia, who's not a great UFC fighter, but he did flatline Steve Garcia, showing he does have power in his hands. Rafa Garcia, super durable, never been put out that way before, like, Mahashate has pieced up Steve Garcia. Rafa Garcia's never been finished, so durability, strong wrestling. I think he's going to be the much more matured athlete here. Hayaser Mahashate, only 23 years old for the Chinese prospect. Give me Rafa Garcia to win a decision in this spot. And I did pay his money line of, I believe it was minus 116. Yes, it was minus 116, 2 units on Rafa Garcia. Up next, I have Julian Marquez to defeat Duran Win. I paid Marquez's money line at minus 160, 1.6 units to win 1. over Deron Winn. Huge size discrepancy in this spot at middleweight. Marquez is 6'2", heavily muscled guy. Deron Winn, short, stout, 5'6" at middleweight. It's pretty insane. He's even competing this long in the UFC, 2-3 record for Deron Winn, who needs to get this fight to the mat, and he can possibly do that. Marquez does give up takedowns, but I think Deron Winn's going to tire himself out trying to take and hold down the much larger, physically imposing Julian Marquez here. And when he gets tired, when he shoots for a sloppy takedown, he will give up his neck. I think Marquez can lock up a submission, probably softening up Deron Winn with strikes at range on the feet, and then getting that opportunistic submission he's known to get. So might be early adversity for Marquez in this spot. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's just pure destruction. Both guys coming off of a knockout loss, but I don't see Deron Winn having a Gregory Rodriguez tier performance against Marquez and finishing him. So I think Marquez gets this done inside the distance. Like I said, 1.6 units to win 1. Next money line up, I've got Jake Matthews at -235. I paid 2.5 units to win just over 1 to defeat Matt Semelsberger at welterweight. I like Jake Matthews here, the much more well-rounded fighter in my opinion. Way more experience in the UFC. Even as young as he is, he's had 16 UFC fights so far. Been in the league forever. Matt Semelsberger, more of a newer guy, honestly. He's had a handful of fights. Not a whole lot of UFC ring time as he defeated Martin Sano and Jason Witt in, I think, under a minute of combined ring time in those two fights. He's coming off of a loss against Alex Morono where it was a competitive fight, but Morono outclassed him, outstruck him, and just boxed him up, especially in round 3. So you've got a lot of power from Matt Semelsberger, but that is matched now. Both the size and power is matched because Jake Matthews showing improved boxing against Andre Fiallo, knocked him out in his last fight. Jake Matthews is a guy who's got very good ground skill, wrestling, and submission offense as well to pair with his striking. So well-rounded. He's got the size and the experience. Give me Jake Matthews. He's as confident as a pick as Sergey Morozov. Those two are my most confident money lines of the card on this Saturday. Got a sizable underdog up next on Cody Brundage to defeat Mikhail Olex, plus 235 for Cody Brundage. Half of a unit invested right now. I will add another half of a unit later in the week. If this money line stays the same, or hopefully it improves to like a plus 250, I'll add another half of a unit no matter what on Brundage to defeat Mikhail. Now, Brundage has spoiled the party a couple times this year, having an awesome round 1 comeback victory, a submission win over Dolce Lungiambula, and also upsetting Tresean Gore by knockout in round 1. Mikhail Olex, very similarly, he's also new to 185. He's come down to Brundage's natural weight class. But Mikhail is a fast starter just like Cody Brundage. Both guys are aggressive. I think they're going to meet in the middle of the octagon and trade blows. Now, hopefully Cody Brundage can use his wrestling level change and use his superior wrestling and grappling than Mikhail. But even if he can't, I think Brundage is powerful enough and just kind of aggressive enough to match that of Olex. Even though Olex does have better technical boxing, in my opinion, I think Brundage, this money line is wide enough for his power alone he displayed in his last fight. Just the grit he showed in the fight before that, he can kind of absorb some damage, find a way to come back, and if he drags this fight out late past the 1.5 round mark, then I really favor Cody Brundage to use his wrestling and win this fight as an underdog. So give me Cody Brundage. Like I said, half of a unit now at plus 235. I'm going to add another half of a unit as the week goes on as well. The next money line is actually a win-win situation for me personally because I have Julian Arosa to defeat Alex Caceres. I do have Arosa's money line at minus 160. I paid 1.6 units to potentially win 1 over Bruce Leroy at featherweight. I say it's a win-win because I'm a big fan of Bruce Leroy, one of my favorite fighters on the roster today. So if I lose this bet and I lose money, at least one of my favorites wins. You know, if he loses, I still win money. So it's a win-win for me. I love these spots, but I do think Arosa is the better man here at featherweight on Saturday. You got a spot where neither guy is really going to have the lesser skill on the ground. I would argue that Arosa's got a better chance of wrestling his way to a dominant position on the ground. But as far as the stand-up goes, Arosa really has to worry about power punchers, power kickers knocking him out. Arosa has been a little bit chinny, a little bit reckless with his hands down, lacking defense style. But he's not going to have to worry about that with Caceres, who never really knocks anybody out. Caceres is mostly a BJJ practitioner, uses crafty, rangy striking to score points, eventually climb all over his opponent's back, and get the submission. But Arosa can hang on the ground. He won't have the power threat coming back his way. I think he can do more damage on the feet at kickboxing range himself. And this will be a very fun clash of styles. Both guys are very unorthodox, non-traditional with the way that they fight. So give me Arosa to be the better man. He can take this fight to the ground or win it at distance with his damaging strikes. Okay, my final money line of the night is in the main event itself. Betting on Sean Strickland to defeat Jared Cannonier, minus 115 on his money line. I paid 1.15 units to win one. So not a whole lot of money wagered here, but I think Sean Strickland largely wins this fight with volume, pace, and just competent boxing and defense, right? He averages far more strikes per minute than Jared Cannonier. We're looking at Strickland's 5.5 significant strikes landed per minute over a large sample size. That's a big amount of volume for a middleweight, especially. Jared Cannonier does have knockout power. We just saw Strickland pieced up and knocked out in a couple of strikes by Alex Pereira, who is one of the best kickboxers of all time in a couple of weight classes and the current UFC middleweight champion. So we can kind of forgive that one a bit. Jared Cannonier does have that knockout power, but a lot of those finishes were at heavyweight where the guys were unathletic and slow. Light heavyweight, more of the same. Middleweight, I mean, one of his knockouts credited on his record was against Anderson the Spider Silva, who was long past his prime by leg kicks. And Jared Cannonier is never like getting somebody out of there with just one knockout punch that flatlines them, right? It's usually a couple of combinations that get you wobbly, get you moving around, and then once you fall to the mat, he'll finish you off with ground and pound elbows. Sean Strickland never wanted to be put out that way. He's been knocked out by Alex Pereira most recently and by Elizao Zaleski dos Santos by that spinning wheel kick a couple of years ago. So, you know, not showing any defensive liability really for Sean Strickland, not showing any chin issues. He's got a nice high stance, a nice high guard. I think a lot of the punches from Jared Cannonier will be telegraphed, and he'll be effective with not letting those hit him clean. So give me Sean Strickland to weather the early part of this fight and slowly get the volume going in his favor. He is 11-2 in decisions, whereas Jared Cannonier is 3-4 in decisions. So give me Strickland to win on the money line, but I think he does win a decision more likely than not in this bout. As for my only prop bet of this card, my 8th bet overall, I do have 2 units at minus 155 for fight goes to decision for Bobby Green versus Drew Dober. Lightweight fight, super fun, super close fight, and a fun matchup. I do lean Bobby Green, but instead of leaning on a side on a money line here, I'm picking the fight goes to decision and banking on durability of both guys. Now, Drew Dober is notoriously tough, hard to knock out, only knocked out one time pre-UFC like 11 years ago. The guy has been in wars and has always come out the other side with a tough chin. Now, Bobby Green, very durable as well. I think only been put out by like one clean knockout at one time, so he is coming off of the TKO stoppage. I'm aware of that. But that was like a wrestling-based TKO stoppage by Islam Makhachev. Now, 14 of his 19 fights for Bobby Green have gone to the scorecards. You know, not the biggest power threat, more of a volume striker. He couldn't knock out Drew Dober even if he tried, in my opinion. But Drew Dober is the more likely fighter to get a knockout here. But Bobby Green is so elusive, so defensively sound, and so hard to hit that I think that this will see the scorecards more likely than not. I think minus 155 is a great number. If you want that extra 2.5 minutes of safety in round 3, the over 2.5 is like minus 175, minus 180. So I like that spot as well. And just listing out a few additional props on this fight night card that I do like, starting with Julian Marquez to win inside the distance, which I see around minus 110 to plus 100. Even BetUS Sportsbook still has this at plus 110. For Julian Marquez to win a fight the only way he ever has before, either knocking out his opponent or submitting his opponent. 9 wins, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions make up his record. Now, Julian Marquez, I don't think will start by employing a point-fighting strategy gently against Duran Win on Saturday. I think he gets this done inside the distance. And to chop down that minus 180 money line he's currently at to get plus money potentially, I like that prop very much. Cody Brundage versus Mikhail Olex. I like any variation of this fight to not see the scorecards. Under 1.5, minus 125, I'm okay with that. Fight doesn't go to round 3, minus 175, I like that as well. And the fight doesn't go to the scorecards, minus 275. Not bad when you consider the record of both of these guys. Mikhail Olex has been finished in 4 of his 5 losses. He has finished 13 of his 17 wins. Cody Brundage has been finished in 1 of his 2 losses, and he has finished 7 of his 8 victories. So most of these guys, if you look at their records, their fights don't even see it past round 1. So I like those props very much. On the opposite side of that, I do like Arman Tsarukyan versus Damir Ismagulov fight to go to decision. And the bookies are all over this, right? The over 2.5 on like Bet Online is something crazy, like minus 270 or more. Bet US still has the fight goes to decision for this fight at minus 220. Even Bovada actually has that same prop, fight goes to decision at minus 225. Even though Bovada right next to it has the over 2.5 at minus 275. So just shop around sports books. Always good to have additional betting options in your back pocket so you can find different opportunities to shave cents off the dollar and get that long-term betting success over time. So those are the 3 props I like additionally. I'm not playing those myself, but those are good options to go. So there we go, you guys. The best bets and props for UFC Vegas 66. Cannonier versus Strickland this Saturday. I cannot wait. Let me know in the comments some of your better betting spots and ideas for ways to make money on this card. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Actually, on Saturday, I believe it'll be on Johnny K. Picks' channel. Me, Johnny, Cody from Blood Money MMA Bets, and Lou Betya, running back, another live fight companion to close out the last event of the year. Join us there on Johnny K. Picks' channel, and I will talk to you guys on Sunday for the recap. Cheers.